Hi everyone, Miss Moon here for your 4.9 Qualitative Graphs video notes. So for these notes, our objective is I can sketch and describe qualitative graphs. So what are qualitative graphs? They are graphs without numbers. So on graphs like this, we aren't worried about numbers at all. We're looking at just more using the axes and the changing of the lines to learn about the situation or about the graph. So let's look at number 1. The graph below shows the change in height, that's the y-axis, of an airplane over time, the x-axis. Describe the change in the airplane's height over time. So we're going to describe what's happening with the airplane's height. So let's say the airplane starts here at height 0 on the ground. As time starts going, our airplane gets higher and higher. It goes flat for a while, flying at the same height. Then it begins to descend back towards the ground. So here they give us A, B, and C, meaning that we should describe 3 points that are happening in this graph. So let's use this section here as A, and we'll describe it as the plane is taking off. So, and then this is the really important part of how we describe the line. We can say that the height, and that's what's shown in our y-axis, the height is increasing quickly. For the next section, B, let's describe this portion right here, B. The plane flies at a steady height. So height stays the same. Now here we can use C to describe the last portion where the plane is landing. Height is decreasing over time. Great, so the airplane problem is one that's easy to understand because we can all imagine a plane flying higher and it's increasing in height, plane staying the same height, and then decreasing. Now let's look at number 2. The graph below represents a change in revenue or sales, that's another word for sales, from a clothing store. Describe the change in sales over time. So we have sales is what's changing on our y-axis, and we have time as what's changing on our x-axis. So as time goes on, sales are increasing and decreasing and increasing and always changing. So let's describe them with these points over here. Let's describe this section here as section A. For this section, we can say that sales are increasing. Because as time goes on, our value for sales gets higher and higher. The line is climbing higher. Now, as time keeps going in this section, though, the graph drops. So for this section B, we could describe it as sales decreasing over time. Then we have another change, so we're going to describe this step as different. We'll describe this as C. Sales are increasing again. Now we have a little portion here, D, where the line is staying relatively flat. So we're going to say sales stay the same. Now, that could happen from maybe there's no customers at the store, so of course sales aren't going to be increasing, and they aren't decreasing either because they aren't losing money. So maybe there's no customers or they're closed for a second, so sales stay the same. Then, so that was D for this flat portion. Now for this last portion here on the graph, you're going to write your description for that portion E on Canvas. For the last problem, number 3, before you head to Canvas, let's do number 3 together. We're going to draw a qualitative graph that matches this description. So our job now is to draw the line that's changing on our graph according to what they tell us here. So it says, a well is being dug on a piece of land. The team digs at a constant rate, then breaks for lunch, then continues digging at a slower constant rate. Sketch a qualitative graph that shows the depth of the well over time. So, time will be our x-axis because that's what's changing consistently. Time is always going to be moving forward at the same rate. And what's changing is the depth of the well. So we'll label our y-axis as depth of well. So, however our line is changing, it will show how low and how low they are at digging the well. So let's go back to this description. A well is being dug on a piece of land. So let's say we start up here at ground level. The team digs at a constant rate. So our first part here, let's say they're digging at a constant rate. They're going down in the ground. So the depth, we're going down, down, down. Then it says, takes a break for lunch. So the depth of the well for a short time while they're eating lunch stays the same. It's not getting any lower. It's staying the same while they're eating lunch. Then continues digging at a slower constant rate. So this is really important here. It's a slower constant rate. So the first time they dug, I did a pretty steep line. They were digging pretty fast. In that much time, they were digging. Now, for the second time they're digging, we're going to say that it takes them a little longer. They don't dig quite as fast, so it takes longer to go down the same amount. So at a slower constant rate, they're digging. Great. So now we included all 3 parts of the story in our graph showing how deep the well is. And there's qualitative graphs. Make sure to enter part E on Canvas.